gamers, and welcome to, of course, the final installment of the Arkham series. Now that I've played through the entire game, gotten my full genuine impression, it's time to show it some justice. Time to show that once and for all, whether this game, Batman, the Arkham Knight, the final installment, the beloved and greatest superhero franchise, but the Dark Knight himself is truly worth it. Well, yeah. Being that I not only bought this game, but obviously you've seen in my earlier video that I bought this entire bundle pack that included this game. Let me tell you, this was, aside from Mortal Kombat X, which I previously reviewed, was one of the many reasons I bought the PS4. Obviously there's more games yet to come, but let's get to it. Does it really do the console some justice? Does it really do this series some justice? You bet your badass it does. Okay, I gotta stop talking like that, but anyway, let's get to the review. I truly enjoyed the living hell out of this game. I'm not gonna say anything really terrible. It's a great game. I mean, it's truly a great conclusion to a, it's the last game of the franchise, unfortunately, for you Batman fans, but I think after a while, a long stretch of the whole series, I think it's come a long ways, and I think it concluded pretty well. Yes, I know, I loved the first game. I mean, it was absolutely a great game that laid the ground, and in the second game, Arkham City just blew mine and pretty much everybody else's minds completely. I mean, the map was huge, and all the villains they threw in there. Just watch my reviews on it. I don't think I have to explain much more. And of course, Arkham Origins, you may argue, yeah. I mean, it's playable, it's great. I liked it for what it was, but the villains and the storyline was a little bit watered down, and it didn't seem like they put as much effort into it. It seemed kind of a little bit stale at that point. So, with that said, I didn't really have extremely high expectations on this game when I saw the first trailer, and I know it was delayed a couple of times. I guess, because obviously they wanted to put a lot of effort into this one, and let me just tell you, they sure did. I mean, it's definitely better than Arkham Origins, I will say. Because for one thing, the biggest improvement that they made in this game is the Batmobile. Yes, you're finally able to drive the Batmobile. Another first, and also last, I should say, being that it's the last in the series, is that it's rated M for mature. Yes. It sounded like they were really going hardcore on this one. And unlike Arkham Origins, which is a prequel, this is obviously a direct sequel to Arkham City. So, plot-wise, let's get to it. When you start out the game, yes, there's going to be some spoilers in this review, as you'd expect. So, you might not want to watch the rest of this video if you don't like being spoiled. But I'll try to keep the spoilers to, a moderate to minimum. I'm not going to really spoil the ending. But if you played Arkham City, you noticed, and you probably remember the Joker dies at the end. And it's a rather subtle but questionable to whether it's really that tragic. I mean, he's the main villain and everything. And yeah, it starts out, you're incinerating him. So, now that he's out of the picture, of course, it's a typical what comes up must come down scenario. City's safe for a little while, and then on Halloween, of course, a main villain, or two, I should say, come in the picture. The main two villains are the Scarecrow and the Arkham Knight himself. But starts out with the Scarecrow intruding on Halloween, and you play as the officer at first. Well, not for very long, but obviously mainly play as Batman. I mean, it wouldn't be Batman if you don't play as Batman mainly. And yeah, pretty much all hell breaks loose and all this hallucinogenic shit breaks out. Yeah, the diner scene, it's just the perfect dark atmosphere. I mean, it's as surreal as you can imagine. For Batman fans, it's by far a love letter. A great addition to this series. I mean, just that one scene right there pretty much lays the ground, and you know you're in for a great ride through Gotham City, by all means. So yeah, you finally play as Batman, and once you see the Batmobile, I was like, hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The Batmobile can be a little tricky to learn how to drive. I mean, yeah, it's, you got your typical Grand Theft Auto 4 and 5 type of controls with driving. You gotta use the top right button, and then, of course, With the battle mode, you have to hold in the L2 button, I believe it is, and yeah, like I said, it can be tricky, and it's got a real learning curve to it, trying to learn how to drive and steer and control this thing. But let me tell you, it's freaking awesome. You can jump rooftops with it, even disarm bombs while fighting an array of Arkham Knight's tanks. Couldn't be more awesome than that. This Batmobile, to me, it feels like a combination of the Batmobile from the Tim Burton movie and the Christopher Nolan film, because it is more or less like a tank. You can upgrade it. Yes, right, the upgrades return to the Batsuit, the Batmobile, of course. And yeah, it's definitely not a bad idea if you plan on winning these battles, especially against thugs. And, well, with the Batmobile, of course, you gotta battle these tanks that are sent out by the Arkham Knight himself. I didn't really know too much about the Arkham Knight. That's the other main villain, getting back to that, of this game. And yeah, he's pretty much hell-bent on, as well as Scarecrow's main objective, to, you guessed it, destroy Batman and destroy Gotham. So yeah, it's pretty much Gotham City's going to hell type of scenario. It's strangely reminiscent of the last Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, well, minus Bane, obviously. Instead, it's these villains. So yeah, it's pretty epic for the most part. And of course, well, I know he's not really in the game, but yes, they couldn't leave out the reminder of the Joker. Yes, I know it's a hallucination and everything, but Jesus, can't they leave him out for once? I mean, he's dead already. Just let him go already. I understand it's the whole fear scenario, because it's Scarecrow emitting gas in the air and all that nonsense. And yes, you get Harley Quinn as well, but all the new gadgets, all the familiar ones are there, but you got some new ones. You got, of course, the hacker devices, and you got the one that you can move when you're on the blimp or Zeppelin, whatever it is, you can tilt it back and forth and control it to move things. It's a lot of puzzle solving here and there, but it should seem familiar to most fans of this franchise. And it should seem pretty fresh as well as maybe too familiar, but it's pretty good. And you do have a Shocker device, that is, not the Shocker gloves like in Arkham Origins, but the Shocker device, which is not only useful for, of course, trying to daze and obviously shock enemies, thugs, but you can also use it on certain devices, like this one here, to overpower it. And you also have a Disruptor device, which can turn off a, well, very limited amount of weapons, and the Hacker device, getting back to that, can also turn off the drones and sentry guns too, but only one at a time, unfortunately, so you gotta use it wisely. And you got also a voice recognition thing, which can be a little tricky to learn how to use when you first get the voice. Of course, you gotta steal Harley Quinn's voice and trick people, as well as the Arkham Knight's voice. So, yeah, it's definitely a handy tool to take if you plan on sneaking into certain places that, don't want Batman in there. And as well as the most familiar fighting style returns in this game, there are some newer techniques introduced in this game, which are pretty cool, like the multi-fear takedown, which is, how should I explain, yeah, has slow motion, which seems familiar, but is more newer, because, well, you can take more enemies down, especially the ones with the guns, which is definitely a handy tool and upgrade to this series, as well as a dual team takedown, which, yep, of course Robin is in this game, but trust me, he's nowhere near as bad as he was in that horrible Schumacher movie. He's as badass as ever. I just wish he was as badass in that Schumacher movie. Such a shame they ruined it, but thankfully Christopher Nolan reincarnated it to the right direction. But anyway, yeah, these fighting moves are as well as familiar or more fresh and just as much fun as ever beating the shit out of thugs. Oh yeah, it's so awesome. And the Batmobile, let me tell you, it's definitely, getting back to that, a necessary vehicle to have. But maybe in the game it requires too much of yourself to be in it, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I like flying around the city. It's still just as much fun to go around and kick the shit out of thugs, and, it's still great looking over the whole skyline of Gotham City. But I really wish they wouldn't force you to have to drive the Batmobile. I mean, it is a fast way to get around the city. It's great that you're finally able to drive the thing. I love all the weapons and all the puzzle solving and trying to figure out what you have to do in a certain situation and such, but taking out these tanks, let me tell you, it's not bad at first when you got the ones that you can usually fire at, and they send missiles at you, and you just take those out easily with the rapid fire of bullets and stuff. But then you got the ones with they have to only take out from the back, and you can't be spotted by them. This is the kind of part of the game that can make you go batshit crazy. I mean, come on! Go easy on me, and there's so many of these damn things. Ugh, I hate this. But once you get through it, yeah, it obviously takes a lot of patience to get through it. It's pretty satisfying as well, but god damn. Then there's this part with this one that I swear took me so many tries and so much patience to get through, but let me tell you, you will lose it so easily. You think that's frustrating enough? How about this Arkham Knight battle with the underground drilling thing? Yeah, trying to outrun this thing, oh boy. Let me tell you, and I guarantee you on this one, you're gonna die several times. I guarantee you, a lot of trial and error. Because you have to lure them in to where the explosives come through, and go off. So, let me tell you, it's trial and error right there for anybody trying to complete this. So, even though this game is great, it does have its flaws and frustration, which I just addressed right now. And, yeah, it's a blast, but it can be frustrating, like I just said. And it's definitely a great addition to the series, but, well, I think it took the necessary steps to make it more fresh as well as familiar with most fans. So, I think it's a very good installment, and it's got a lot of dark moments as well, and pretty sad, subtle moments that'll make any Batman fan really enjoy this game, and it keeps very familiar, like I said, and it's definitely worth it. And you got a lot of side missions as well, and as well as the return of the Riddler trophies and the riddles. So it should seem all pretty familiar, and it's great. I love it. So it should seem all pretty familiar, and it's great. I love it. It's definitely one of the best, and well, unfortunately, the last installments in the franchise. I'd say this franchise has come long ways. I mean, this has been a great series of comic book based games based off one of the greatest DC comic hero of all time. I only wish that they made a great Superman game. It's quite a shame that the Dark Knight gets all the glory, but Superman gets pretty much crapped on. I mean, you've seen Superman 64, right? But not to get too carried away. Yes, great game. The main story is great. Going around the city driving the Batmobile is just as much fun, as well as kicking the shit out of thugs around the city. Couldn't have asked for any better. It definitely does this series and console and pretty much video game based off comic book heroes plenty of justice. Yeah. And yes, and there's also DLC packs, which some of them were included if you pre-ordered it. Well, yeah, I pre-ordered this bundle pack. I think you got the Scarecrow and Harley Quinn pack, and I'm sure there's other ones that are available now and probably will be available sooner or later, but it's definitely a great addition, and great way to wrap up such a terrific franchise, even though it's more on a dark and subtle note. So, I give this game a Rockin' Weird Mode will be Motion Plus up, and a Plain Weird Mode up. I think that does enough justice for it. So, till next time, keep watching.